Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 128. Getting deeper into November, so much going on in sports. Return of college basketball, return of NBA, NHL is underway, getting in the thick of NFL and college football. It's just so much awesomeness. But you definitely have to make sure that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go smash those like, follow, and subscribe buttons for us. That way you can help support Final Score. And go ahead and invite your friends, share us with your friends, and leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. We definitely helps us know what we need to bring to the show and how we can improve the show. And one way we know is if you guys let us know. So let's do that. But as you see, I am running solo tonight. Is what it is. But I thank you guys for joining me tonight, and a big shout out to Jimmy in the chat. Oh yeah, boys, let's go. Yeah, I'm ready too, man. And we're going to jump right into some college football. Now, the CFP top 6 is supposed to be released as of right now, still being announced. But this is what our projected top 6 will be. Georgia, number 1 after their big win against Missouri, 43-6. Quarterback Stetson Bennett killing it with 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Georgia rushing combined for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns themselves. They'll be taking on Tennessee next. But looking at some of the rest of the teams, we got Alabama at 2, Oregon at 3, Ohio State at 4, making our top 4 for who will qualify as of right now for the playoff. And we'll definitely update this as we find out information on the top 6. Our other 2 teams that we're looking at, Cincinnati and Michigan State, 5 and 6 in our top 6. This is what we think will end up being announced here tonight on ESPN, so definitely make sure to check that out. But Alabama, though, still leading the one-loss teams, coming in at a strong second. They'll be taking on New Mexico State, so not much of anything. But Bryce Young looking sharp against LSU, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, looking good, even though they only won by 6. Pretty close there, so Alabama needs to watch it, I guess, going the rest of the way. Oregon, though, beat Washington close 26-16, and that's the big theme here is also with Ohio State beating Nebraska 26-17. Nobody won by big margin. Cincinnati barely beat Tulsa 28-20. Michigan State ended up losing to Purdue 40-29. It was just very interesting in the top 6 this week outside of Georgia, who did what they always do. So we'll definitely see how the top 6 actually shakes out once ESPN and the College Football Playoff Subcommittee make their announcements. It's going to be real interesting, and we'll see if it matches up with what we have here. But some games to watch this weekend. You have number 8 Oklahoma taking on number 12 Baylor, 9-0 versus 7-2. Saturday, 12 p.m. on Fox. Oklahoma looking to stay unbeaten, and Baylor trying to play a little bit of spoiler on Oklahoma. Another good game is going to be number 17 Mississippi State at number 13 Auburn, Saturday, 12 p.m. on ESPN. Definitely make sure to check that one out. Oh, excuse me, a little under the weather tonight. Don't mind me, guys. Number 20 Minnesota at number 22 Iowa. Iowa trying to get back on track after being upset and losing another game. Now 7-2 after being the number 2 team in the country. That game's going to be Saturday, 3:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. And, of course, number 14 Texas A&M against number 16 Ole Miss. A battle of 7-2, Saturday, 7 p.m. on ESPN. That one, an SEC matchup, figures to be a really, really good game. So definitely make sure to check those out. And like I said, see if our CFP top 6 matches what the subcommittee ends up releasing tonight. We'll definitely check on that and let you know what happens once that's announced. So, but also make sure to follow us on all of our content platforms: Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Bullhorn, Player FM, Listen Notes, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Amazon Music, all for our audio portions. And, of course, you can catch the video portions on YouTube and on Facebook, so definitely make sure to go on to both those outlets. That way you can also see our great meme madness, which you can only find on the video portions. But our next topic, man, the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series for their first World Series title since 1995, beating the Astros 4-2. And the Braves, man, they got it done. They really didn't let the Astros hang around too much except for the 2 wins that they got. The Braves came out strong in game 1 and won 6-2. Astros evened it up 7-2 in game 2. Then Braves won 2-0 and 3-2 to take games 3 and 4. Astros won game 5 9-5. And then, of course, in game 6, the Braves, with that shutout 7-0 win, putting the stamp on their World Series title run. And, man, hats off to the Braves. I know so many fans are so happy of waiting 26 years for that World Series title. Of course, Braves outfielder Jorge Soler named World Series MVP. He hit 300 with 3 homers, 6 RBIs, and 3 walks during the series. And he's also the 6th player with 3 go-ahead homers in a single World Series and posted a slugging percentage of .8. That is huge, absolutely huge. And what really ended up putting the Braves up for good was the 3-run shot he had in the 3rd inning in Game 6. Absolutely awesome stuff. Hats off to the Braves again for winning the World Series. Absolutely amazing stuff. And, man, you got to figure they're going to be looking good going in the next season as well. So we'll definitely see. But something you also need to see is all the great merch that we have over at the Podcast City Network shop. Because whether it's a neck gaiter to protect you from COVID-19, a mug for your morning coffee, or a t-shirt just to look cool, we got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the lineup. But that does bring us to our NFL Week 10 predictions. Last week I went 6-8, worst week I've had yet, bringing my overall total to 71 and 49. Not exactly how I hoped last week to go, but last week was so topsy-turvy in every way. A lot of games not going any kind of way people thought. But this week we're hoping to get back on track, and we're going to start it with our Thursday night game, the 6-2 Baltimore Ravens, traveling on down to Miami to take on the 2-7 Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins have been lucky to get themselves 2 wins. Tua Tagovailoa is still the quarterback there, so no Deshaun Watson movement or anything like that. Calm down, people. But the Ravens are just a stronger team defensively, offensively, and definitely with the special teams. Look at Justin Tucker. That guy's already booted a 66-yarder this season. So Ravens are my pick to win this game, and they're definitely going to win it by a wide margin. I don't think this one's going to be close or any kind of a surprise here. Our next game, though, our 1 p.m. slot for the Sunday slate, the 4-4 Atlanta Falcons are going to travel on down to Dallas to take on the 6-2 Cowboys. Falcons definitely picking up the win last week, and were able to squeak it out against the Saints. The Cowboys losing in surprising fashion to the Broncos. But I think Dallas is going to be able to bounce back. They are the better team overall in every way, shape, and form, in the passing game, in the running game, on defense. They're just the better team, and I think the Cowboys are going to be able to pull it out, even though it tastes like vinegar coming out of my mouth. Cowboys are going to beat the Falcons. Next game, though, 5-3 New Orleans Saints taking on the 7-2 Tennessee Titans. Titans getting it done against the Rams. Absolutely surprising to see them be able to pull it off without King Henry himself, which kind of screws me in fantasy, but hey, it is what it is. Adrian Peterson coming back in his first touchdown of the season, and his 125th overall in his career. Tennessee Titans are going to, I think, be the stronger team here. Saints still trying to find answers in gel with a new quarterback with Taysom Hill. I think Tennessee ends up taking this one, but it might be closer than what people think it's going to be. So definitely watch out for that as well. Our next game, though, we have the 2-6 Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the 4-5 Indianapolis Colts. Jacksonville getting a lucky win somehow against the Buffalo Bills this past week, but I don't think they're going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to be able to get the job done against the Colts. Colts starting to find themselves a little bit of a rhythm and have been playing some teams really close. I think the Colts end up taking this one in a little bit of a thriller and will top the Jaguars. Our next game, we have the 5-4 Cleveland Browns taking on the 5-4 New England Patriots. Battle of 5-4s. Cleveland coming out surprisingly, getting that huge win against the Bengals last week. The Patriots, I think it's a Bill Belichick-led team. You can never count them out. So I think that in this one, it's going to come down to the wire. Might even be a last possession game, but I think the Patriots are going to end up pulling this one out at home on the arm of Mac Jones. I'm telling you, watch out for them. Patriots win it. Our next game will be the 5-3 Buffalo Bills traveling on over to MetLife to take on the 2-6 New York Jets. And I know our other friend Jimmy is wondering about this one emphatically because he is a Jets fan. I'm sorry, bud. Your Jets suck. They do not win. Bills end up bouncing back and getting the W here to move on to 6-3. Our next game is the 0-8 Detroit Lions taking on the 5-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh had a close one against Chicago, but was able to pull out the W mainly because of all the penalties, some horrible officiating in that game. But Steelers still got that win. Detroit looking horrible, probably lost to the bye on the bye week, and are still 0-8. So you can't trust Detroit for anything. Steelers end up taking this one at home pretty easily. Our last 1 o'clock game, though, we have the 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the 2-6 Washington football team. Washington still trying to find some type of answers after losing their last game. Tampa coming off the bye. But Tampa on a week's rest with all their pieces back in place, I think we'll be able to take this one pretty handedly, and the Bucs win it by a wide margin. Looking at our 405 games, though, we have the 4-5 Carolina Panthers taking on the 8-1 Arizona Cardinals. Panthers, after that 3-0 start, looking dismal, 1-5 since that 3-0 start, and Panthers just can't get it done. Sam Darnold having issues right now as well. Arizona, I think, is looking for that bounce back, and I think they're going to find it here against a struggling Panthers team. Cardinals end up taking this one, I'm saying, by 10. Next game, though, we got the 3-5 Minnesota Vikings taking on the 5-3 LA Chargers at LA. I think LA really squeaked one last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Vikings just can't find answers. And I mean, it's pretty telling with their 3-5 record. But I think that the Chargers are going to be the better team. Herbert's starting to find some rhythm in himself. He's going to be able to get the job done, and I think the Chargers end up winning this one. And it might be closer than you think, though, just because Minnesota still does have Dalvin Cook, still have a decent-ish defense, and LA has struggled against weaker teams, but they always find a way to win. So I think it will be the Chargers. Looking at our 425 games, this one was really hard for me to pick. The 3-6 Philadelphia Eagles traveling on out to Mile High to take on the 5-4 Denver Broncos. Denver coming off that huge win against the Dallas Cowboys last week. The Eagles losing to the Chargers, as mentioned before. Eagles don't have a lot of answers on offense. They have a defense that's able to make some things happen, but too many injuries as well along the offensive line, and even with Miles Sanders still being out on IR, not known if he's going to be returning this week or not yet. Not looking good for the Eagles. I'm going to have to go with the Broncos on this one. I think the Broncos end up winning a very close one, but Broncos will win. Next game, we have the 3-5 Seattle Seahawks at the 7-2 Green Bay Packers, and this game is in the air in so many ways. Russell Wilson being recently cleared to return to the team after his issues with his finger earlier in the season. Don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be playing this weekend because of COVID protocol. Right now it's saying that he is, but there's a possibility that he might not. So you might be looking at a Geno Smith versus Jordan Love matchup. However, I feel if it ends up being that, I could see the Seahawks winning. However, if Aaron Rodgers is playing, I think Green Bay ends up taking this, and I think he will play, and I'm going to say the Packers are going to win this one against the Seattle Seahawks. Looking at our Sunday night football game, though, we have the 5-4 Kansas City Chiefs against the 5-3 Las Vegas Raiders. This one was really difficult for me to make a pick on. I feel like both teams are kind of evenly matched. Kansas City, obviously, more of a turnover issue. But Las Vegas losing Ruggs because of the whole car accident issue with the fatality and all that. Also losing another receiver recently. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two are actually going to match up. I literally flipped a coin on this one, and I picked the Chiefs to win this one. Sorry, Jimmy. I know you were pulling for those Raiders, but I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out in an extremely close and very exciting game. But don't worry, Jimmy. I think the Raiders are going to end up having to bounce back after this, so we'll see. Monday Night Football, though, we have the 7-2 LA Rams taking on 3-5 San Francisco 49ers. 49ers still with running with Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. The LA Rams coming off that surprising loss to the Tennessee Titans. I think the Rams are going to be able to get things back on track and get back to the winning ways and win this one against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are just not that good of a team, in my opinion. And yeah, I know, Jimmy, it'll only be exciting if the Raiders win, but hey, it could happen. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a close one. But I think the 49ers are definitely not a good team, and the Rams are going to be able to take advantage of that and be able to pass all over that defense. Rams win it in wide margin fashion. But that is our NFL predictions for Week 10. Definitely make sure to check back next week to see how I did. Trying to stay over 500 for the season. We'll see if we can make it better than that. But you also need to make sure to check out Podcast City Network and all the great things going on over there. Because FinalScore is a proud member of Podcast City Network and it's 20 plus independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. You can find Podcast City Network on all major social media platforms, including Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast City Network, on Twitter at Podcast City Net, on Instagram at Podcast City Net, on YouTube by searching keyword Podcast City Network, and on the website podcastcity.net. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network, which brings us in to our next segment, which is talking about some NCAA releasing their draft for the streamlined constitution that will give power to the schools. And I'm now realizing that my camera for some reason has stopped working. Give me a moment. We'll see if we can fix it. But with this, basically they parried down from a 43-page document to a 18.5-page document that basically brought them to a point of worrying more about player welfare than anything. And this was by the pushing of Mark Emmert, the president of the NCAA. Now, the approval of the new streamlined constitution is expected to happen in January with no type of consternation or conflict. So this is going to be passed without any kind of an issue. And the next phase of its transformation for the NCAA, that is, figures to be more difficult. It'd be a reshaping of Division I that will tackle revenue distribution, how rules are made and enforced, access to the most high-profile and lucrative NCAA events, such as the men's basketball tournament, and just how big the tent should be on at the top of college sports. So definitely will be very interesting to see how it goes with this new constitution, what the NCAA will actually have the power to do and not do, as the case may be. Definitely be very, very interesting to see really just how it all will work. And Jimmy, yeah, Ruggs and Rogers equal fantasy woes definitely in this one, man. But the rewritten constitution focuses more, like I said, on the broad goals of athlete welfare and athletics as part of an academic experience instead of governing procedures and operations, which I think is the biggest part. You know, you leave that to the schools, let the schools figure that kind of stuff out. That's what they're there for. We don't need a governing body to the degree of what we've had with the NCAA. So hopefully this will get leeway to the expansion of the college football playoff, better funding for student athletes, and being able to literally live in college, because people always want to scream and cry that, oh, well, they get a scholarship. That really only covers tuition and books. It doesn't really cover anything outside of that. And that's the biggest problem we've seen. And the level that the NCAA had their fingers in everything, it was just ridiculous. But now it's led way to also the NIL and all of that. So we'll definitely have a lot more on this, though, as it progresses and is ratified in January and approved. And then we'll see kind of where the NCAA goes from there and what things will actually look like. So we'll definitely see what we have come then. But definitely make sure to also check out City Limits Tap Room in beautiful DeLand, Florida. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to go to 4425 North US Highway 17 in DeLand, Florida, and check out all the great things they have going on. Normally we list off all the specials, but they have new specials that we're supposed to be getting here soon, so we'll save that for then. But they always have a lot of great live entertainment, all the TVs going wall to wall, watch all the sports that you want, great beers, great liquor bar and food, everything that you can find here at City Limits Tap Rooms. Definitely make sure to check them out in beautiful DeLand, Florida. But that does bring us to Meme Madness, and this one is going to be a good one for sure. Really excited about this. If you guys have a meme or see a meme that you think should be on the show, definitely make sure to tag us or send it to us, and we will include it on the show. But going to the first one, just your typical NFL Sunday. As you see, so many crazy games. The Ravens barely beating the Vikings, and of course, Denver beating Dallas, and of course, the huge surprise, Jacksonville over Buffalo, all these crazy games that happened. Absolutely crazy week of NFL football. But we did mention the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we just want to take a moment to congratulate the Jacksonville Jaguars on winning a game in the United States. Bravo, bravo, golf clap. Oh, it's good stuff. Our next one, though, says, kind of funny how Aaron Rodgers hated Brett Favre and then turned into him 14 years later. I mean, I haven't seen a dick pic yet, but who knows? That could be coming as well. Oh, my goodness. Our next one says, though, every time a player comes on the Manning cast, that player loses the next game, which as you look at the list, it has been true. Travis Kelce, he lost the next week. Gronk, Brady, Stafford, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen. I mean, that might be the new Madden curse, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. Throw it up in the chat. A lot of craziness. But also, just imagine Rodgers on his way to Minnesota. Jimmy, I think Packers fans just died a little. Oh, my gosh, that would be insane. But I'm sure Minnesota would take him with open arms. Our next one says, imagine if the NFL didn't announce trades and these players would just show up Sunday Royal Rumble style. Oh, did you see Von Miller front and center? Oh, good stuff. Now an LA Ram. Who thought that would happen? Yeah, Madden Curse 2.0 for sure, Jimmy. Definitely for sure. This next one says, the Detroit Lions trying to get on a winning path for the last 70 years. Looks something like this, guys. Oh, it's absolutely great. But our last one says, Derrick Henry injures toe. Adrian Peterson straight pulling an Undertaker. Oh, me. Good stuff. But that was our meme madness, and we thank you guys so much for viewing. If you're listening to our audio portion, definitely make sure to check out meme madness in our video portions on YouTube and on Facebook. Go on Facebook, search PCN Final Score. Same thing on YouTube, and you should be able to find it there. But also, we're going to talk about joining Podcast City Network, because they do a lot more than just, provide podcasts. You can also join them too. Because have you always wanted to start a podcast but didn't know how? Do you already have a podcast but don't know how to grow it? Are you trying to find ways to make your podcast profitable? You can learn to do it here at Podcast City Network. We offer consulting services and tutorial classes to help with learning to better expand your knowledge and to grow your show. We also give access to our network of shows to help with cross-promotion, guests, and overall reach, while also becoming a part of an ever-expanding PCN community based on people helping people. The best part is no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network, which does now bring us to the good old give or go. And we definitely got a few good ones going on this week. Our first one, though, is going to, if we can get it working here. James Madison Dukes are making the move to the FBS, joining the Sun Belt Conference. And we're going to give on this a little. James Madison has not been a bad team on the FCS level, and it's great to kind of see newer and newer teams join the ranks of the FBS, going straight into the Sun Belt Conference. So they should be able to find a nice little niche there and be able to get something going, honestly. And yeah, Everett Lee, podcastcity.net. Check it out. A lot of great shows on there. But this is definitely going to be a huge move for James Madison, and I think one that's going to help their program in the long run and their school. It's going to be really great stuff for them. So hats off to James Madison for finally making the move to the FBS. But talking about moves, Conference USA is now going to be adding Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston State beginning in 2023 to help expand the conference in expectation of losing teams like Houston and UCF, who have already, or sorry, not UCF, but Houston is going to be making their exit. So it's going to be definitely a little interesting to see the whole shift to college football again through conference realignment. Definitely figures to be some pretty interesting stuff. But our last one is that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has been cleared to play. He should be returning soon. They're going to be working him out and see how the finger responds to the surgery and how it's going to go through all the workouts. So we'll definitely have a lot more on this, hopefully this upcoming week, either talking about how he did or getting ready to announce when he's going to play. So definitely make sure to check back next week, and we'll have more on that. But that was our give or go, which now means it's time to talk about PodChaser, because Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible source for podcast discovery. Follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes. Just go to podchaser.com and search keyword final score, one word, and follow, rate, and review us. But that does mean it's now time for the week ahead, and a lot of stuff going on, especially with football, NFL Week 10 action, as we had our predictions earlier. Definitely make sure to come back and check next week to see how my picks went. We also have NCAA college football action, Week 11, going to be exciting stuff. Don't forget to check out our games to watch, including Oklahoma Baylor, Mississippi State Auburn, Minnesota Iowa, and Texas A&M and Ole Miss. So definitely make sure to check those games out. All those games figure to be really exciting games. But you also need to check out the entire sports lineup here at Podcast City Network, including Not a Hockey Market podcast, to start their new season with the NHL season. So definitely make sure to check that out. And the Nest podcast, the Rip Griffin Show, Sportszilla podcast, and of course Fixed Edge, which was live earlier today. You can check that out over on YouTube by searching Fixed Edge Investing. So a lot of great stuff. But you can also check out episode 129 of Final Score next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern here on Facebook Live. But that does bring us to the end of our episode, and we thank you guys so much for joining and watching. No, it's a short episode. It's kind of hard to have these longer ones when you're doing it by yourself, but still got to make the show happen. So here I am. But thank you guys so much for joining. Definitely make sure to check us out next week for episode 129. But until then, I'm Chris. Well, I guess I ain't Chris. And y'all have a great night.
Podcast City Network.